really interesting matchup here between a team that was perennially considered one of the best teams in football all of last year, and a team in the Dallas Cowboys that has had to do some clawing back in this thing. Cowboys and Lions, this is a really interesting matchup.
Yeah, and 29 former SEC standouts will be in action here tonight. And honestly, this is probably the this is the biggest Thursday night game on that's not on Thanksgiving here this
Correct.
year, because both of these teams have so much to play for here. Obviously, the Cowboys on a 3-game win streak. They had beaten the two teams that played in Super Bowl 59 in a span of 4 days, and then obviously the Raiders before that. That doesn't really count this year, but this is a Lions team that, it seems like they get a nice win over a good team, and then they lose to another good team right after.
Right.
So they keep going back and forth, win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. We just talked with our friend Kevin Ryans out in St. Louis, and that's kind of what the Blues are going through right now. But, I mean, if the pattern repeats itself, Detroit's going to win tonight, but I mean, I just don't know, because the offense has been so shaky, and we still don't know the status of Amon-Ra St. Brown after he suffered that ankle injury early in the Packers game. And it really looked like Jordan Love. I mean, let me tell you, Jordan Love on Thanksgiving,
dynamite.
He is. And I go back to the game 2 years ago as well, and he was dynamite then as well.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Jared Goff a few weeks ago was sort of in the talks for MVP, and then ever since late, it's just been falling off.
Right, and I think a lot of that, you wonder if some of that walks hand in hand with some of the lack of production offensively. It's not like they don't have the guys. I mean, they have
guys.
I mean, they have probably, as far as just pure talent goes, player 1 to player 53, they're probably one of the most talented teams across the NFL. However, like you said, inconsistent. And you wonder just how much losing those coordinators. We talked about this with Texas A&M. Texas A&M is in a position, and Coach Elko talked about that in the soundbite that we played, that when you're doing well, your coaches get poached to go to other places, and both of their coordinators, Aaron Glenn is now with the New York Jets, and then you also have the offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, who's the head coach now of the Chicago Bears. It looks like the offense has really been up and down ever since then.
Yeah, and honestly, it makes you wonder if those two coordinators kind of made Dan Campbell look a little bit better than he actually was. I know Detroit had that tough season in his first year, and he had the emotional press conference, or it's like, he didn't give the Aaron Boone, it's right in front of us, but he basically said, I mean, these guys are still fighting, and he was in tears after one of the games. But I mean, you look at what Ben Johnson's doing right now. He says Chicago's winning in spite of the passing game, which I think is a little bit insane. But I mean, he's been able to unlock Caleb Williams, and then Rome Odunze, obviously a nice piece there to have alongside Luther Burden, who we just talked about. But I mean, both of those coordinators are starting to figure it out. Chicago had a rough start, and then New York, it was like, all right, are they going to win a game here this year? And now they're kind of on a run here ever since selling at the deadline. So it's been very interesting. But one of those teams that New York sold to was the Dallas Cowboys and Quinnen Williams, and they've got an MVP candidate on their team. And honestly, I think just because he's got the star on his head, he gets a little bit more hate than he honestly deserves.
Yeah, Dak Prescott, the former Mississippi State quarterback, is having a year thanks in large part to his two star wide receivers.
And they're eating, like they were there.
They were eating on Thanksgiving. They've been eating all season long. George Pickens, the former Georgia star, and CeeDee Lamb, the former Oklahoma star, both standout players for this football team. We got a chance to hear from QB1 after a really, really nice performance on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's fun. It's what you play the game for. Real competitors. As you said, they take the spirit of their head coach. You can tell that they play with it. I haven't played them, twice, right? 2 years ago, we got the better end. They got the best end of us last year. Not a pretty game, so I'm definitely looking forward of just getting back out there, going to Detroit, just having the group that we have, and having to communicate in such a tough environment, but understanding we got to play physical, and we're going to be a four-quarter fight.
As we look at some of the players on the Dallas Cowboys that were once in the SEC, you mentioned Dak Prescott off the top. You think he's an MVP candidate?
Yes, he is definitely an MVP candidate, especially if your guy over there in Foxborough starts to taper off a little bit in Drake May. But looking at some of the other SEC standouts, Jaden Blue from Texas had a really nice year last year. I thought it was an underrated pickup for the Cowboys until they got until they got Malik Davis, who is having a really nice year. And then Javonte Williams, obviously, you cannot forget about the unreal year he's having. But Malik Davis out of Florida, and then Jonathan Mingo, who's still trying to find action here for the Cowboys this year after being traded from Carolina last year. And then, as you mentioned before, George Pickens coming from Georgia, Tyler Booker on the offensive line from Alabama, Jadeveon Clowney, that midseason free agent pickup. I believe he was in retirement, and then he came out of retirement to join the Cowboys. Dante Fowler having a great year out of Florida. And then Sam Williams, one of the more underrated pieces on that defense. Quinnen Williams from Alabama just was acquired a few weeks ago in that trade with New York. Perrion Winfrey from Oklahoma. And Shamar James from Florida. Obviously, Trayvon Diggs is on injured reserve right now with a concussion.
Yep. So those are the standouts there on the Dallas Cowboys side. And meanwhile, on the other side, we'll take a look at the Detroit Lions. And this is a team that Coach Campbell, he really wants to solidify his team with toughness and grit. Obviously, he went to the SEC to go get it. Specifically, former Alabama running back in Jahmyr Gibbs. And Gibbs, to me, is a really, really good player. I did not realize how good he'd be coming out of – I didn't realize how good he'd be going to Alabama, coming from Georgia Tech, and then parlaying that to the NFL. Yeah,
I mean, he's just been an absolute steal for the Detroit Lions. I know last year with the new Sonic movie, him and David Montgomery were Sonic and Knuckles. But, I mean, really, it's just been Sonic this year. David Montgomery hasn't really – I don't think he's had the production that he had last year, because Montgomery was really the back that would score inside the red zone, and now it's Jahmyr Gibbs just basically taking over 1,000 yards rushing again, 10 total touchdowns or 10 rushing touchdowns on the season, But if you look at some of these stats, I think the one that stands out the most to me, he has not had a fumble in 2 years.
That is insane.
2 years. He didn't have a fumble all of last year.
Wow.
And he has 2 fumbles in his entire NFL career. I mean, it's just unreal. Now that I say that, he's probably going to fumble it tonight. But if that happens, we'll revisit this tomorrow. But I mean, it's just been unreal. And I mean, I think last year I got him, I want to say, in like the 5th round of fantasy. I was like, wow, why are we sleeping on him?
What a steal.
And let me tell you, he was gone by the end of the 1st round this year.
Oh, no doubt. Once you have success one year, you're gone pretty quickly the next year. Got a chance to hear from Dan Campbell, looking to bounce back after the loss last week.
Well, I just think the guys are on point. Look, they're always that way. There is always a level of urgency. But, with this unit here, this crew, they don't like losing. None of us like losing. And it puts a bad taste in your mouth, and so we just came off a loss, division opponent, and we don't want that again. So these last 2 days have been really good. The guys have been locked in. I thought they were flying around yesterday. But I just bring it back. Yes, there's urgency, but there's not panic. You start taking this to a level of, then that's when guys start making mistakes. Well, I'm going to start trying to do your job, and then I'm out of position to do my job because I'm trying to do your job, and that's when everything breaks down. So just do your job, handle your business, do it the best you can do it, and be on point. And eliminate the things that require no talent, the discipline, man, the fundamentals, the technique. You just handle that.
Discipline, fundamentals, technique, that's all the things that Nick Saban used to tell Jahmyr Gibbs back in the day, and he has taken all of that straight to the NFL. He is one of several guys with SEC ties in this game.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs, as we just talked about, Dominic Lovett from Georgia, Isaac Tesla, who had a really nice touchdown for the Lions last week on Thanksgiving, and then Jamison Williams, also from Alabama. I mean, that dude is electric as well.
Yeah.
Tristan Colon from Missouri, Tate Ratledge from Georgia, and Dan Skipper, who, you always got to be careful if he checks in as eligible, because he could catch a pass for Dan Campbell. Keeping it moving here, Tyrus Wheat from Mississippi State, Mekhi Wingo from LSU, and Alex Anzalone from Florida. And then rounding it out here, Brian Branch from Alabama. He's been a really nice safety for the Detroit Lions. Daniel Thomas from Auburn, and Jake Bates, who is on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good kicker.
Could use a pretty good game from him, and also could use your defense stepping up on 3rd downs and for him to be able to make field goals instead of touchdowns, and it's a win-win for you, for your personal fanhood for the Dallas Cowboys, also for your fantasy team.
And we'll see coming up after this. We're going to get into our amazing best bets. And, you know, we haven't been keeping a track on units won or lost. But,
right.
Maybe once we start with we'll do baseball next year or something.
Yeah.
We'll find something.
We'll find